for you to be able to updated on videos that I'm going to upload, mag-take note kayo, class, and at the same time, para hindi kayo antukin, lalo na ngayong sa oras na ito, talagang this is called the holy hour. Inaantok talaga tayo pag ganitong oras, at para malabanan natin yan, let's make a means, not to hindi tayo makatulog. Kape, yan din ang isa, timpla-timpla ng kape. Alam ko naman may mga kape kayo dyan. It is not enough, class, that you are only listening. Take note for that. It is not enough na nakikinig ka lang. After na nakinig ka, anong gagawin mo? Balikan mo at i-review mo, basahin mo ng basahin. Okay? Sige. Ma'am May, the virtual space is yours, ma'am.
Nakikita niyo na ba yung screen ko?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Lunch natin? Kumain ba tayo? Marami, wag masyado. At baka antukin ka sa klase. Because we all know when we say 1 o'clock or this PM session, talagang nakakaantok, no? So, next is what we call the next topic is all about the policy, no? The nature of the police policies, no? We have to make sure that there is a policy or there is a tool for the police management to be used, which give light and direction to the police program, option to be pursued by the personnel concerned. Because when we are referring to policies, it is stability of subordinates, no? They help the personnel understand their mutual relationships. They are ahead to guide the men on the operational level, authority, and responsibility, and to enable them to arrive at the sound decision. So for the word policy, it only refers to a general plan of action. It simply serves as our guide in operation. So parang ito yung pinaka-biblika or Bible nila when they are performing their duties, no? It makes up the basic framework of management decisions that set the course what the organization should follow. Of course, it defines the authority and responsibility of supervisors, in their job of directing group efforts and implementing the personnel program. So, we have 3 types of police policies. It is classified as originated policy, appealed policy, and imposed policy. Pag sinabi kasi nating originated policies, I am not referring to the screen, yung nagpa-flash screen. I was just saying na when we are referring to the original policy, this type of policy comes from the top management. And it is intended to set up guidelines in the operation of the police organization. So, it is coming from the, what we call, head office, or referring to the office. What I mean is the policy is coming from the top management in the what we call kamkrame. So lahat ng mga policy na galing doon, it is called as originated policy. Pangalawa naman na type classification ng policy in the police organization is what we call the appealed policy. Ano yung sinasabi nating appealed policy? It is only talking about, this is a type of policy that is born, lumalabas lang to when problem arises, or there is a circumstances or problem encountered by the department at the lower levels of the organization, galing sa baba, and the man in charges does not know how to meet the problem. So he then appeals to organization or your superior for guidelines and for guidance. So that is what we call the appealed policy. If there is a problem encountered in the lower in lower position or lower office, then he appeal for his superior to give or to ask guidance, no, on what would be the guidelines to follow. So that is what we call appealed policy. And the third one is the imposed policy. This is a type of policy comes from the government in the forms of laws, administrative orders, and rules and procedures or contract specification. And nowadays, it is considered, for example, the policy is given from the LGU. Yan. And the PNP within that LGU will impose that policy. So, kaya nga tinawag na imposed policy because the policy is coming from the different, what we call, unit to follow. No, it must be imposed because it imposed also by the LGU. Example, in the IATF, and there is a policy that the police officer will be at the checkpoint at this time, at the covered time, then they must there to perform. No, then it is called an imposed policy. So, according naman to the subject matter, the policies may be classified into two. Meron tayo lang dalawa. Una is what you call the general statement of principle. What is this? The policies stated there is in broad terms. For example, a statement of objectives, the philosophy and the creed. Others stress in general terms management traits such as fairness in dealing with officers, understanding the and humane treatment of the workforce. Next one is the specific rules. Cover specific situation, they are more direct and less flexible. They are more rigid in nature. Kaya sinabing specific rules. May nakasaad lang doon, naka-specified doon kung ano lang yung rules na susundin within the organization. But when it comes to the general statement of principle, it is abroad. It is just like following the mission, vision of the organization, and the philosophy they have in the organization, the objective they have within the organization. That is referring to the general states of principle. From the word itself, general. So kaya siya broad. Next is how we disseminate these policies. Of course, to be more effective, personal policies must be understood by all concerned, including the managers and superiors, supervisors, rather, who are to interpret and implement them to employees who will be affected by the policies. How we can disseminate? Of course, diba? There are various means are used by communicate personal policies to employees. It is written, for formality. It is for sometimes mga polisiya, sometimes it is verbal. But the most common are the following: police handbooks, manual, publications, memoranda, and circulars, and even bulletin boards, meeting, and conferences. Iisa-isahin natin yan. The first one is the police handbooks. These handbooks are distributed to all personnel and contain, among other things, information about the benefit and services that the organization grants to its officer. The organization's history also included there. Its organizational structure is stated also. Its officer and other information useful to the officers in understanding the relationship in the organization. The handbook of the police officer. So it's included all the necessary informations about the organization. Next is the police manual. Nakikita ninyo yung binibigay din sa kanila na parang maliit na bubo. Yan yun. Parang nakakita na ako ng ganun na hawak ng isang estudyante ko. A police manual is covering all the police personnel policies and procedures. if made available to managers and supervisor, will be a great help in their decision making and employees relationship, because they will be guided if they have this manual. No, they will be guided for what is really the correct procedures when they're performing their duties or their job as a police officer. Next is I am referring to memoranda and circulars. Memoranda and circulars are another common means of communicating police policies to all officers. They can be issued fast and they provide greatest assurance of reaching every employee. They are built-in means by which every member of the organization is reached. Sa bagay, ang mga memoranda and circulars nowadays, because of the new normal, it was already sent from the top management going to the bottom, is that they will send it through the Gmail or what we call online platform, no? Received by the bottom management. Next is what you call the bulletin boards. Yan. Makikita nyo naman yun sa mga offices ng mga police. Oh, the organizational policies, rules and regulations and activities may be typed out on a mimeograph and posted on a bulletin boards. If strategically collocated and well managed, bulletin boards are an effective medium for transmitting newly issued policies, rules, and regulations to police officers. So one way of communicating this policy, where there is no reason na sasabihin mo na hindi mo nabasa, there is an allotted bulletin boards for every office, for every organization, for updating what is the latest, what is what we call the different policies given by the top management, and even additional regulations, rules and regulations given by your superior or supervisor. So there is a bulletin board for you to read those updated policies, rules, and regulations within the organization. Ito is printed, no? Next is another form of dissemination of policies is not only written, I said, it is also in a verbal way, or there is a good communication conducting or having meetings or conferences. There is a schedule every month as necessary, no? So another dissemination of policies, we have here the meetings or conferences that are often held to inform officer about the new policies, their objectives, and implementation. Ano ba ang pinaka-advantage nito? Of course, one advantage of this type of policy dissemination is that it gives the officer the opportunity to ask questions and request clarification. Obviously, when we are having the conference or meeting like this, for example, there is a new policy, you can now ask about the new policy. There is a clarification on your part. You can ask questions. You can have your clarification about the policy, the new rules given to you. So those are the dissemination of policies. But the last but not the least, okay, ito pa, sabi nga, it is effective to smaller departments as they accommodate smaller groups and allow scheduling of meetings at every convenient hours. But but in the police organization itself, meron talaga silang scheduled meeting and conferences for them to, what we call, review their policies, if it is effective or not, if they meet the objectives and implementation of the program or different innovative ways of the PNP. They conduct meetings and conferences also to be able to identify if the new policy is well implemented. Last but not the least is police publication. When we say police publication, the communication has gained such importance to and attention by management in recent years. To meet the needs of communicating with officers, police organizations have been spending amounts of money on publication, internal or to even external. Example of this is like that, if a police officer, yung mga nag-schooling, meron kasi sila yung ginagawang, kasi may ginawan ako actually, na sa training center, when they have their schooling, gumawa sila ng research, parang as simple research din about their for us to be able to know, no, the job specification, because in job description naka-specify lahat doon what would be your function, what would be your duties and responsibilities as a police officer. It is the same way like, for example, as a teacher too in the DepEd, naka-state din dyan yung job description namin. Nasa batas yan kung ano yung what would be your function as a teacher. Kaya nga dun sa dulo may nakalagay sa amin other related works. So you don't have to complain whatever would be the policy or the rules given to you. Basta hindi lang na natatapakan ng iyong pagkatao at hindi lang yun ang what we call, hindi nakakasama sa ibang tao, then you have to do that. No? So after the job description, we have here the police recruitment, selection, and placement. No? The police recruitment, it is the first step and recruiting procedure and the one that should receive greatest emphasis. It is that attracting the well-qualified applicants for that position who wants to enter the PNP. It is the best selection device available at of a little value if the recruiting effort has failed to attract candidates of higher caliber. So, widespread publicity directed at the particular element of the population with it is hope it will attracted to examination is the best way to method of seeking outstanding applicants. So sa recruitment process, there is of course no it will depend on, police service is dependent on the availability of the national or regional quota of the PNP. So who will determine? Of course, it was determined by the National Police Commission. But of course, in the selection and appointment, there will always be the standard policy. I know you already know that. That is according or based on the provisions of Republic Act number 8551, that it states the general qualification for initial appointment to the police service. So, what are those? No person shall be appointed as uniform service or member of the PNP unless he or she possesses the following minimum qualifications. So may I ask among you, who will give me the minimum or what we call the standard policy on selection of uh, an appointment in the service of the PNP? Who can give me at least whatever you know? Because we have here 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 standard policy in appointing to be a police, to be in the police service. That is based on provisions of 8551. Among you, come on, sino ba sa inyo ang makapagbibigay ng mga general qualification? Ubin. Come on. Magtatawag ba ako ulit?
Honesty, ma'am.
What?
Honesty, ma'am.
Honesty. So, you are telling another. So, honesty.
Integrity, ma'am.
What I'm referring for is what must be the possession or what she or he possesses the general qualification. It refers to your physical appearance, and it refers to your, I will give you one. When it comes
Mentally.
mentally, of course, yes. One of the general qualification that must have passed you have to pass, no? The psychiatric and psychological, drug and physical tests to be administered by the PNP or by any government hospital accredited by the Commission for the purpose of determining physical and mental health. So, of course, you have your what we call good mental health and even physical. The other one, may siyam pa tayo. Sino ba?
Must pass the board examination, ma'am.
Yes, you have possessed a formal baccalaureate degree from a recognized institution of, I know, I am referring to, you must be eligible in accordance with the standards set by the Commission. So, we have different accepted eligibility naman when we are applying in the PNP. First is, you possess, no? You are eligible, or there is an eligibility in accordance with the degree that recognized. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng nakapasa sa kanilang natapos na kurso, qualified. And, naipasa mo, and that is referring to your board exam. When you are a criminology, you have to pass the board exam for criminology, and that is RA 6506. When you are an engineer, you have to pass the licensure for engineers. Ganun yun. So, aside from that, pero bago naman tayo makapag-exam ng ating mga board, is of course, we already possess a formal baccalaureate degree. Diba? So, 3 na. Ilan pa? Yung sinasabi nyong honesty, consider na natin yon. It is under a person with moral conduct. Dapat wala we possess the good moral as a human being. Next, sino pa?
You must be a Filipino citizen, ma'am.
Yes, exactly. First, of the general qualification is you must be a citizen of the Philippines. 5 na. O, ano pa? Kaya yan.
Ma'am,
Yes.
must be eligible in accordance with the standards set by NAPOLCOM.
Okay, that is one under the eligibility. Ipagpatuloy ko pala yung eligibility. Next is under you pass the exam given by the NAPOLCOM or you are a NAPOLCOM passer and you are what we call a civil service passer. So those are the eligibilities accredited naman or recognized is based on the standard of the commission. No. Next, ano pa?
Ma'am, Javier, ma'am,
Yes.
Javier. Must not
ano?
be less than 21 years of age.
Javier, sige.
Yes, ma'am. Must not be less than 21 years of age nor more than 30 years of age, ma'am.
Okay. Yan ay ito na siya. For a new applicant, must not be less than 21, not more than 30 years of age, except for the last qualification. The above enumerated qualification shall be, sabi niya, continuing in character and absence of any of requirement of services, provided the PNP members who are already in the service upon the effectivity of implementing rules. And then, the regulation shall give 5 years to obtain minimum educational qualification and 1 year to satisfy the weight requirement. So, yun po yung requirement na, in the age. What about the others? Ano pa?
Ma'am, height pa, ma'am. Ma'am, height pa, ma'am.
Okay, the height. Ano?
For male, ma'am. And for
Okay.
female, ma'am, 2. For female, ma'am, is 5'2".
Okay, that must be at least 1 meter and 62 centimeters, right?
Yes,
In
ma'am.
height for male and 1 meter and 57 centimeters for
For
female. But don't forget that we have our height waiver. It
Yes,
was
ma'am.
claimed or may karapatan i-claim yon, most especially when they are in the minority groups. Right? When you are an Ifugao, Igurot, Itawi, ano pa ba? Gaddam.
Ma'am, must have been convicted by final judgment of
Okay.
crime involving
Other moral turpitude. So,
Yes, ma'am.
must not have been convicted by final judgment or what? Final judgment of an offense or crime involving moral turpitude. So, wala tayo. Kaya nga inaalaw tayo na magbigay ng ating NBI, PNP clearance, right? For them to be able to identify if you really not involved to any crime of moral turpitude or any violation of the crime. No? Next, ano pa? Meron pa.
Must de la Fuente,
Yes, Mr. De La Fuente.
must have not been dishonorably discharged from military employment or dismissed for cause from any civilian position in the government.
Okay, so kailangan, like me, for example, at the age of 27, I was still in vacance and I was trying to apply in the PNP. I may not be discharged, no, from my previous employment dishonorably. Ibig sabihin, nagkaroon ng kaso, ganyan. Dapat hindi tayo ma-involve doon. Ano pa? May isa pa kayong nakalimutan.
a national born citizen, ma'am.
Meron na yun, naibigay na. Ano pa?
Must be eligible accordance with standard set by the commission.
Kaya nga, yun yung sinasabi ko kanina that we already have, we must have the eligibility. NAPOLCOM passer,
Yes, ma'am. Napalukon.
or what else? Nakalimutan pa kayo.
You must have single, ma'am.
Kailangan ba talaga single lang? No.
Child support. Ma'am, a person of good moral character.
Okay na yun, meron tayong good moral. Not necessary na lahat naman ng nag-a-apply mga anak is single, yun lang ang pwede. No. Pero kasi sa PNPA, if you can still, di ba sa PNPA talaga dapat single ka. No childbearing na wala kang anak na sinusuportahan talaga. Dapat talaga single ka. Because you are disqualified automatically in the PNPA. No? Okay, ano pa? May nakalimutan pa kayo. Anak, patay mo ang ilaw. Ano pa?
Physical test, ma'am, tapos na.
Hmm? Yes, the psychiatrist and psychological test yon. Mga ano yon, mga physical test, drug test, yan. Tapos na. Ano pa? Kung may height, ano naman yung isa? Must be weigh not more than, o ano?
May kulang sa katawan, ma'am. May kulang doon sa katawan mo, ano, ma'am. May sobra, ganun, ma'am. Kumbaga sa finger, ma'am.
So, wait lang muna tayo. Hindi muna doon. That is in the screening procedure. Doon lang muna tayo sa standard policy. Okay, I will give you in short. First is you must be a citizen of the Philippines. Next is you must be a person of a good having a good moral conduct. C is you must have passed psychiatric and psychological drug and physical tests to be administered by the PNP and any government hospital. Next, of course, for them to identify the purpose of determining the physical and mental health of the applicant. Next is, you must possess a formal baccalaureate degree. So that is 4. From a recognized institution, sinabi doon, recognized institution. Hindi galing sa recto yung iyong diploma. Next, it must be eligible in accordance with the standards set by the commission. You have the eligibility. Number 6, it must not have been honorably discharged from military employment or dismissed from post from any civilian position in the government. Next is you must not have been convicted by final judgment of an offense or crime involving moral turpitude. Next, must be at least 1 meter and 62 centimeters for male, the height, and for female is 1.57 for 57 centimeter, meter rather. And when it comes to your weight, not more than or less than 5 centimeter, 5 centimeter, 5 centimeters, sorry, 5 kilograms for standard weight corresponding to your height, age, and sex. So that is referring to your BMI. And then the last is yung when it comes to your age, 21 to 30, ang isinasaad. So, what is really the purpose of this? Determining the compliance with the requirements on physical and mental health. What is really the purpose? Of course, for them to be able to know and classify the applicants if they are really meet the minimum requirements. Okay? So listen, on the selection procedure na tayo. The purpose of selection procedure or process, it is secure these candidates who have the highest potential for delivering into good policemen. This is the process involves the 2 basic functions. The first function is to measure each candidate qualifications against his ideal qualification that are established chiefly through a job analysis. And the second function is, because of the comparative nature of the merit system, it is to rank the candidate relatively to the basis of qualifications. So, on the selection procedure, we just have to follow the recruitment process. They must have provide us the procedure on how to become a good policeman or policeman. Of course, there is what we call dadaan tayo sa proseso na kung saan mapipili talaga sa atin kung sino ang mas qualified. No, there is what we call these screening procedures and it is started with a preliminary interview. So, sa preliminary interview, ano bang ginagawa? So, the applicant shall be interviewed personally by the personnel officer, and if the applicant qualifies with respect to the requirements of citizenship, education, and age, then he shall be required to present the following. First, letter of application if none has been submitted kung wala pa. An information sheet that is we are using the personal data sheets CSC 2017. A copy of a picture which is a passport size. Your original birth certificate issued by the PSA or the Philippine Statistic Authority, your transcript of scholastic records or diploma coming from the same institution, fingerprint card properly accomplished, and different clearance papers from the local police department of PNP, from the provincial, city, municipal court, or provincial prosecutor's office and his hometown police department, NBI, and other they may be required. So those are the following documents presented when in the preliminary interview. If they identify that requirements mo nga inamit mo when it comes to your education, when it comes to your age, when it comes to your citizenship, then this is the documents. Next, after ng preliminary interview, there is what you call the physical and medical examination. We were just not only rely or depend on the given result of your neuropsychiatric examination, the drug test, and even other tests, no, given to you or administered by the PNP or any government entity. So, kailangan, when we say physical and medical examination, in order to determine whether or not the applicant is in good health, free from any contagious diseases, and physical fit for police service. He shall undergo a thorough physical and medical examination to be conducted by the police health officer after he qualifies the preliminary interview. So, para malaman dyan if you are having a disease at nakakahawa, if you are really physically fit, because we already know that before entering the PNP service, there are the trainings they will be give you or conducted by those who qualified to enter the PNP. So, they conduct thoroughly the physical and medical examination para naman malaman kung may katinoan ng pag-iisip ng mga papasok na pulis, di ba? Pero sometimes, ito dapat yung hindi talaga nila binabali, walang i-consider. Yung, if you have a heart problem, so you are not physically fit. Because there is what we call rigid training after you enter and pass the screening procedure. Next is, this is now the physical agility test. The screening committee shall require the applicant to undergo a physical agility test designed to determine whether or not he possesses the required coordination, strength, and speed of movement necessary for police officers. Diba? The applicant shall pass the test. Initially, yan lang naman. Muna. Pull-ups na 6, push-up 27, 2-minute sit-ups 45, squat jumps 32, and squat thrust 20. So, as early as now, kung gusto nyo talaga maging good ang build ng inyong katawan and you have, para magkaroon ng magandang coordination strength, pagpasok sa police, kaya mo na dapat ito. So, these are some of the physical agility tests they conduct. No? Next is, of course, there is what we call the police organization is having this screening committee. No, they have prescribed additional requirements. Ano kaya yung mga yun? Ito. General appearance. Bakit kailangan? When we say general appearance, no, the applicant must be free from any mark or deformity. Yan yung sinasabi nyo kanina, guys, na may kulang at sobra sa katawan. Paano pag sobra ako ng hangin sa katawan? Lumobo ko. So, hindi ako pwede. Kasi may required na kilo. So, yun ang general appearance natin. Marked deformity, for example, is nabati mangmangigyo no ka. We're referring to the coming singkol. Siya ay di pwede. From all parasite or systematic skin diseases. Nakakahawa yan. No? And from evidence of intemperance in the use of stimulants of drugs. And remember, the body must be well proportioned. A good muscular development and show careful attention to personal cleanliness. Take note of this. Obesity, muscular weaknesses, or poor physique must be rejected. Kaya siguro hindi ako natanggap. Next is girth of abdomen should not be more than the measurement of the chest at rest. Dapat daw talaga pag it should be stomach in. Kaya niloloko nila tayo sometimes. Oh, stomach in na. So that is referring to the general appearance. Kino-consider nila yan. Next, nose, mouth, and teeth. Kaya some of the applicants din, pinapaayos yung mga ngipin. Paano naman yung nose at mouth? Okay. Obstruction to free breathing, chronic cataract, or very offensive breath must be rejected. Okay. Very offensive breath must be rejected. The mouth must be free from deformities in condition that interfere with distinct speech or that predispose to disease of the car, nose, and throat. This shall be no disease or hypertrophy of tonsil or thyroid enlargement. Ayan, sa throat natin yan. Then, teeth must be clean. So, nga dagididudu, mga agmamama, nako, ang laking problema nila minsan. Right? Pag nakapasok na kayo, sige. Pero, syempre, sabi kasi nila, pampatibay daw ng ngipin yung pagmamama. But, when you apply the PNP, baka mahirapan kasi it can cause stain to your teeth. The teeth must be clean, well cared for, and free from multiple cavities. Missing teeth may be supplied by crown or bridge work, where sight of teeth makes this impossible. Rubber denture will be accepted. At least 20 natural teeth must be present. Kailangan daw at least 20. So parang papasok pa rin sa pageantry na kailangan kompleto. Ngipin natin 24 ba? Kailangan. So kailangan maganda daw ang ngipin natin. Next, ito maselan, genitals. Must be free from deformities and from varicose or hierocole or enlargement of the testicles, strictures of urine. Retained testicles or strophe is rejected. Any acute and or venereal diseases of this organ must be rejected. Kaya minsan, di ba, pinatutuwad-tuwad tayo. Next, varicose veins. Bawal pang may varicose veins. This is a marked tendency to their deformation must be rejected. Yung malalaking ugat sa paa natin, hindi rin nila yun inaalaw. Chine-check din nila pala yan. So, arms, legs, and hands and feet must be free from infection of the joints, sprain, stiffness, or other conditions such as flat foot, long nails, or hammer toes which would prevent the proper and easy performance of duty. First, index, second, middle, third, ring, fingers, and thumb must be present in their entirety. The toe must be the same. Diba? Ang arte rin pala nila pagdating sa kamay. When you are single ka, no? Or not, pwede. Najayati bagbagada. No, sometimes, disqualified na kasi single na. Eyes. Ito na. May cataract, color blindness. Yan yung mga na-check nila dyan. Listen, when it comes to eyes, the applicant must be free from color blindness and be able to read an eye each eye separately from standard test type at a distance of 20 feet, or your vision must be 20/20. Pero I think, nagkakaroon tayo minsan ng hindi ganun ka-perfect na vision, 20/20. Next is respiration. Respiration must be full, easy. Regular, the respiratory murmur must be clear and distinct over the lungs, and no disease of respiratory organ is present. So they have to check. The circulation, the blood pressure, yan. Kailangan daw, the action of the heart must be uniform, free, and steady. The rhythm and the heart from the organ changes. The blood pressure, the systolic maximum is 135, and the diastolic is 90. Pulse pressure is 15 to 50, and the brain and nervous system must be free from defects. Ako, kaya minsan, pagka mataas na ang BP natin, ganda nagpayon, lalo nga dumato. Kasi sa BMI namin noon, na nag-apply naman ako, hindi naman ako high blood. Talagang hindi lang kinalad sa PNP. I tried siguro at least thrice. Ako nag-try sa PNP, sa BGMP twice. Ay, BGMP, oo, once lang sa BGMP, twice sa BFP. Tapos, ano ba ba? Ako nag-apply ng SAF. Mahirap. Saka hindi ko kaya. Nag-apply pala ako sa PIDEA. I was still teaching pa eh. Nag-apply ako ng PIDEA. But unluckily, wala talaga. At huwag kayo mawala ng mag-asa. Kaya ngayon pa lang, you must have to consider this. No. Additional requirements required by the screening committee of the police administration or police organization. Next, after of course considering the general appearance or physical attributes of a person or applicant, they have meron pa pala tayo. Last, the kidneys, they must be healthy and urine normal. Nag-UTI, hindi pwede. Hindi nagpa-function well ang kidneys. Kasi tatandaan natin na they are going through a rigid training, so it may destroy. Alam naman natin kung paano magkaroon ng training. So, affected kasi pagka gumagalaw tayo ng magbigat, it can really affect our kidneys. Baka iniisip nyo na it's just because of our food intake lang. No, it's just because ang kidney rin, pagka sobrang bigat yung trabaho mo or bigat yung ginagawa mo, it can also affect the kidneys. For additional info lang. Next is character and background investigation. Okay, nakasurvive na tayo ng preliminary interview. Nakasurvive na din ng physical and agility test. Medical and physical, okay na. Paano naman kaya yung character and background investigation? Kailangan to. The screening committee shall cause of a confidential investigation of a character and from among various sources. Kailangan yan. Para naman i-check natin kung anong klase yung pagkatao. Kasi number one din sa trabaho, pag pumasok ka, you have your good morality. Next. Kahit kung nakapasa na tayo, after the background investigation, go next to a psychological and or neuropsychiatric test. Baka may makitan to i-judge psychologically, you are incapacitated ka, ma-hold mo ti temper mo, or baka high temper ka, napaltugang madagos di katungtong mo. So, I don't even know the reason why. There are some officers in the PNP organization that even though actually they pass the neuropsychiatric test, but then sometimes they perform their duties, they don't even know what is right from what is wrong. No? They are emotionally disturbed, but they don't even know why. Pero nga yung mga pulis na nakabago-bago, ganyan, bakit kayang pumatay ng tao, which is naipasa niya naman ng neuropsychiatric test niya nung pumasok siya. But of course, after the psychiatric test naman, as the time goes by, hindi natin alam yung naging mga factors, no, bakit niya nagawa yun. So, basta ang importante, the screening procedure, they have to pass the psychological and neuropsychiatric test administered by the PNP. Yan. Tatanda natin, administered by the NBI, the PNP, or duly recognized institution offering such test after he has qualified and met all the requirements above. The last, but not the least, in the screening procedure after from the interview, we have the finale, no? Oral interview. Ito na yung nakakakaba eh. O nung sa amin, oral interview. Pero, sometimes hindi naman nasusunod yung sequence ng procedure na yan. But in the book, it was the procedural screening of the PNP. Last is the oral interview. The screening committee shall interview the qualified applicants for suitability for police work. The interview shall aid in determining appearance, like ableness, affability, attitude toward work, outside interest, forcefulness, conversational ability, and disagreeable mannerism. So, dito talaga, intellectually, they will ask you, but absolutely, they will have to identify or yun pala, ina-examine na rin o kaya tinitignan na rin or ina-assess na rin nila yung kung anong may mga mannerism ka ba, mukha ka bang maangas sumagot. They have to consider that, no? Tititignan nila talaga dyan. Dyan naman makikita na pag oral interview eh. Do who you are. Kaya pag oral interview, then be you. No? So those are the screening procedures required by the PNP. But of course, after that all, there will always be what you call the police appointment. Yeah, appoint ka na nila. So, this applicant, any applicant who meet all the general qualification for appointment, the police service and who passes the test, of course, required in the screening procedure shall be recommended for initial appointment and shall be classified as follows. First, temporary. If the applicant passes through the waiver program as provided under RA 8551. Probationary naman if the applicant passes through the regular screening procedure. And permanent if the applicant able to finish the required field training program for permanency. Ang temporary kasi, sinasabi lang naman yan under the, for example, in appointment, that when you apply for your high favor, yan. So, there is a program, waiver program, yan. Or, next is the probationary if you pass the regular screening. Wala kang winave na program. Hindi ka gumamit ng waiver. Kumbaga talagang pasok ka sa lahat ng general qualifications and general procedures ng screening procedure nila. So you are probationary. Of course, after that, you will be in the permanent appointment if the applicant able to finish the required field training program for permanency. Yan na po yung nalalaman ninyo na tapos na, nag-graduate na sila, they already finished their OJTs, yung training sa loob, yan, 6 months din, yan, training, pag-aaral, actual. Kapag natapos na talaga nila yung required field training for them, then they will be permanent. No? Permanent na. So those are the police, kind of police appointment. Next, sino nga ba ang dapat mag-appoint sa mga PNP? Kapag pasok na sa PNP, sino nga ba ang may karapatan? So ito siya. For PO1 to SPO4, I'm sorry that I was just used the old one. It's simply because, no, itong mga position na to is, ito pa lang naman. Kailangan lang naman lumabas yung bago nilang position na, ano bang bago nilang position yan? Sergeant, the sergeant, ganyan. So, PO1 to SPO4 appointed by the PNP Regional Director for Regional Personnel or by the Chief of the PNP for National Headquarters Personnel and attested by the Civil Service Commission. So, remember class that when you are on this position, for example, you applied here in Cagayan, dyan sa Tugigaraw, And of course, the regional director will be the personnel. No, the regional personnel will be the one to appoint you, but it should be attested by the Civil Service Commission. No, hindi mawawala yan si CSC. Sa lahat ng government entity, there will be a service commission, a civil service commission, attested nila yan. Yung appointment mo, talagang sila ang mag-a-attest. The appointee lang si regional, pipili si regional director for regional personnel. But if you are in the national headquarter office, then national headquarter office din ang mag-a-appoint sa iyo. Next, sa position naman ng inspector to superintendent. So, appointed by the chief PNP as recommended by their immediate superior, and don't forget, attested pa rin yan ng Civil Service Commission. O, when it comes down to inspector to superintendent, our director, chief of PNP, Elizar, siya ang magre-recommend. Pero of course, civil services attested. Hindi yan mawawala. May karagdagan. Kapag senior superintendent to deputy director general na, appointed na yan by the president upon the recommendation of the chief PNP. So, i-recommend ka ni chief PNP, i-appoint ka ni president, then i-endorse ka niya sa civil service, i-confirm ka naman ng commission on appointment. So, as you can see, the higher position it was, the attestation and the confirmation and endorsement is already involved. Ano naman daw pag sa Director General? Appointed by the President. Anong tawag sa power ni President na yan? Power to appoint. That is under our 1987 Constitution, that the President have the power to appoint. So the President will be the one to appoint who among the most senior officer down to the rank of Chief Superintendent in the service, subject to the confirmation of Commission on Appointment, provided that the Chief PNP shall serve a tour of duty not exceeding 4 years. Provided further that in the times of war or national emergency declared by Congress, the President may extend such tour of duty. So, alam naman natin na nag-perform naging 4 years na naging deputy chief bago pa mag-director general. Next. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I have water break for a while? Mute ko lang. Anak, paano mga COVID? Ang sakit na nalamanan ko. Next is the waiver for appointment. The waiver for appointment is simply says that this is a waiver is for initial appointment to the police service shall be governed by Section 15 of Republic Act 8551. No, i-waive niya ang appointment ng isang police. Pero kailangan it should be under Section 15 of the Republic Act 8551, the implementing rules and regulation ng IRR. How about the appointment by lateral entry? Ayan. In general, all original appointments of commission officer in the PNP shall commence with the rank of inspector to include those with highly technical qualification applying for the PNP technical services such as dentists, optometrician, nurses, engineers, and graduates of forensic sciences. Doctor of Medicine, members of bar and chaplain shall be appointed to the rank of senior inspector in the particular technical services. Graduate of the PNPA shall be automatically appointed to the initial rank of inspector. Licensed and criminologists may be appointed to the rank of inspector to be filled up by any vacancy. Alam niyo naman yan. So, kaya nga yung iba, when you are a graduate of TNT, automatic, they will have to choose what kind of service they would like. If it is in the TMT, in the Navy, in the BFT, in the BCMT, but automatically their rank is inspector. When you are a licensed criminologist, your eligibility is up to superintendent. But if you are not, then you have to do what we call, kaya nga yung iba nag-iitiyap, kumukuha. And then other technical services daw, when you are a doctor of medicines, then when member of the bar, automatically naman na senior inspector ka. Lateral entry kasi is parang a kangaroo jump. Tataas ka kaagad. From non-commissioned officer to commissioned officer. So, hindi mag-jump ka, for example. Basta meron lang yung required years for you. And good entry ka for lateral entry. Pero yan, may exam pa din yan na ginagawa. Lateral entry. Nag-exam din sila. Next is Hello, everyone.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay. Can I continue now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Ma'am May.
Hello, Ma'am May.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hindi ako naririnig.
When? Awan.
Ay, ganun. May nangamin signal ko. Sport, patay.
Okay.
Yan, sir. Okay na, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I repeat. Doon tayo sa police training. So, this police training is very essential, no, in the field of police, Hello, sir, mga dak.
Yes, ma'am.
Ako naka-close po yung audio nyo.
Okay na?
Yun po, ma'am. Yan po.
Nakikita niyo yung PowerPoint ko? Okay, when we say police training, it was very essential, no, in the organization. Why? Because this is this responsibility of the PNP with the coordination with the Philippine Public Safety College. Uh, uh, this shall be the premier educational institution for the training of the human resource in the field of law enforcement. The PNP, BFP, and the BGMP. And of course, it is subject to the supervision of the NAPOLCOM. Remember, class, that when you're having your training later soon, when you're a police officer, you will enter to this esteemed educational institution, the Public Safety, Philippine Public Safety College. Kasi dyan talaga nila kinakandak ang training ng mga nasa law enforcement. But what is really the importance of having this training for you to be prepared to accept the responsibility as a police officer? Kumbaga, kailangan kayong i-train para well-equipped kayo and well-knowledge kayo to skilled in performing of your duty. So, what are the types of police training programs? But of course, there is a standard for police training. All training programs operated by law enforcement agencies should limit their enrollment to law enforcement officers. Kaya nga meron tayong sinasabing may quota lang kung ilan lang yung kailangan. No? Training courses should be set up, prescribe units of instructions, and arrange a time schedule. Practical recruit training subsequent to employment should be provided. When the Philippine National Police conduct the training, kailangan nakaset up for trainings. Kaya nga, nandyan si PPSC, no, para yan ang maging training ground ninyo. But here in the region, we have here the Regional Kaya Training Center in Kawayan. No? After training, then I know and I do believe that after training, you are now equipped, no, with full knowledge, not totally full, but there is a part of wide knowledge about what is your duty, not duty and your job as a police officer, no, to protect us from any harm, just like the lives and property of individual. So, we have here the training, the types of training, police training programs. First is the basic, no? The basic recruitment training. Next is the field training in service training programs, department in service training programs, and the national international convention on policing. The basic recruitment training is the most basic to all police training. Basic yan. Sa lahat ng papasok, pinaka-basic yan. It is the prerequisite for permanency of appointment. Kaya nga yung sinasabi nila na hindi porke nandun ka na sa regional training center, yayabang-yabang ka na, sasabihin mong pulis ka na. No. That is because basic recruit training, that is your ground, no, for permanency. Kaya umayos-ayos kayo pag nasa loob kayo ng basic, pag nasa loob na kayo ng mga regional training centers, because it may happen, sometimes hindi tayo permanent. No. Kaya nga yung iba, kaya binagbabawal kayo, kaya alam nyo kung bakit kayo pinagbabawal. For example, nakapasok na kayo sa regional training center, limited lang yung paglabas ninyo. Simply because you are not yet permanent to that position as a police officer in the Philippines. Now, the basic recruitment training shall be in accordance with the programs of instruction prescribed by the, of course, the PPSC. And even the NAPOLCOM. Kasi you are subject for modification to suit local condition. This course is conducted within less than 6 months. A training week shall normally consist of 40 hours of scheduled instructions. So, and then, yung mga region na kapagawa sa inyo ng PPSC or ng training centers, but of course, with the help of the NAPOLCOM. Full-time attendance in the basic recruit training is referring to what we call attendance to this type of training is full-time basis. Ibig sabihin, nasa loob talaga kayo ng training center, bawal lumabas. However, in cases of emergency, recruits may be required to render service upon certification to the regional director or the city or municipal chief of police as necessity of such services. pwede naman, actually ito yata is, parang ang na-encounter namin dito is, you are allowed, most especially when we need some circumstances like this. We need blood, and you are allowed to, not to go out, but instead, or is this from the other rigid training na or exercise is kapag nakahanap ka ng dugo. So, yun yata yung mga pagkakataon na pwede namang hindi kayo properly lalabas ha. Kumbaga, within that training center pala. Kasi ganun yung nangyari dun sa pinsan ng asawa ko. So, patalastas lang. Next is completion and certificate of training. After training, syempre, bibigyan ka na ng certification na you already completed. After the basic recruit training, the regional director shall certify ako, daytan, nalpasin ko na that the police recruits have completed the training and satisfied with satisfactory, nakalagay doon, satisfactory finish or completed all the requirements for the police services. So, palakpakan tayo dyan. Kasi talagang tatandaan ninyo na ang basic recruit training is a prerequisite for permanency. So, when you have your completion and certification of training, so, very good. Next is we have the field training. Yan na yung sinasabing mag-OJT sila after. Kasi pag nasa loob ka na ng basic recruit training, mag-aaral ka, rigid exercises, trainings, ganyan. After the PNP, after the basic recruitment training, we will be go out of PNP field training. Ito na yung nakikita niyo yung mga sinasabi natin naka-OJT. No? It is the process by which an individual police officer who is recruited into the service receive formal instruction on the job for special and defined purposes and performs actual job function as a police officer with a periodic appraisal of his performance and progress. Because, under the Republic Act 8551, all uniform members of the PNP shall undergo a field training program. What involves it? The actual experience and assignment in patrol, traffic, investigation, as recruitment for permanency of their appointment. Requirement for permanency of their appointment. So, yun na. So, that is based on RA 8551. You are really required. If there is a prerequisite for permanency, now, you are required to undergo the field training program. That you have to involve the actual experience kung paano magpatrol, paano sama ka na for investigation, for traffic. So, you have your actual word that, totoo, police na ako. So, you can see now the actual word of a police officer. But the program shall be for 12 months inclusive of the basic recruit training course for non-officer and the officer orientation course or officer basic course for officer. That is under Section 20 of RA 8551 IRR. And para ma-feel nyo now that you are already in. So, of course, after that, we have the in-service training program. Kaya magtataka kayo, meron sila yung pag-graduation, meron yung mga pin nila na nakikita nyo. That is their in-service training programs. Depende yan sa mga positions na meron na sila. Hindi lang naman yung mga natapos na nag-field training, yun lang yung mabibigyan. But eventually, lahat naman ng positions, basta dadaan sila sa training programs for promotions. Not only those applicants who they require the training programs, instead, they also require training programs for promotions. Like lateral entry, may mga promotions. First is junior leadership training. That is for PO1 to PO3, police officer 1 to PO3. Next is senior leadership training from SPO1 to SPO4. Police basic course, preparatory for senior police officers or what you call officer basic course. Bago sila mag-officer, kasi pag sinabing officer basic course, you are already in the commission officer. Police basic course for senior police officer, officer basic course for inspector to chief inspector. Nasa commission na sila pagdating ng officer, commission officer. Officer advanced course or what we call OAC, chief inspector to senior superintendent, officer senior education course, superintendent and above. So those are the different in-service training programs provided by the organization. Yan na yung sinasabi natin kanina na we need different trainings for us to be able to more knowledgeable because it will enhance our ability and skill in performing our duty well. Para naman minsan kasi hindi natin mawawalan sabihin. Yung mga ibang pulis, ganito lang. But I told you, whatever happens in the image of police officer, we must salute them. Because they are really, what we call, property na natin sila. Dahil they protect us. No? Kaya nga sometimes, minsan sinasabi natin, nakikita natin sa balita, may ginawang masama si police. Let us see the good side of other police. Because, hindi naman lahat masama. Hindi naman lahat tarantado, barugado. So, at saka naniniwala ako na kaya nga meron tong in-service training program para sa kanila. Para mas maliwanagan sila, mas matuto sila, mas ma-adapt nila kung ano yung tama and do their function with moral. So, and directoral staff course for director and above. Okay. What is really the purpose of police appraisal? When we say appraisal, my dear students, it is not, pag sinabi kasi appraisal, hindi yan ibig sabihin, promotion lang lahat. No? Promotion lang lahat. Meron din demotion dyan. Because when we say appraisal, it simply refers to the process of measuring the performance of people in achieving goals and objectives. It is also known as performance evaluation system. Lahat ng organisasyon, meron yan. Yeah. Ang term lang dyan is evaluation. I-evaluate yung isang tao patungkol kung paano siya nag-perform doon na nangaayon sa kanyang posisyon. Is that police officer performing well? Doing his job as a police officer? Or exceeded pa? At kapag nakita na ang kanyang performance, pag nakita na-evaluate siya sa performance niya, oh, it's good, satisfactory, excellent, outstanding, then they need this appraisal para ma-evaluate. Lahat ng organization ginagawa to. But the other term they use is evaluation. So, you have to evaluate the performance of a police officer. And they called it the appraisal. So what is really the purpose of appraisal? Of course, it serves as a guide for promotion and salary increase. Kaya nila ginagawa yan. They have also this kind of motivation, no? Retirement and disciplinary action. Siyempre, pagka nasa trabaho tayo, kailangan talaga we will perform well. Para isipin na lang, huwag mo lang isipin na tataas yung sahod mo. But of course, it goes na lahat, no? Doing your function. It increases productivity and efficiency of police work. It assimilates supervision and it forms the officer of the quality of his work for improvements. Diba? And sabi ko sa inyo sa police appraisal, it's not more on a promotion lang. It's also for demotion. No? Makikita kasi dyan kung nagpa-perform ka ba talaga. They have the factors or they have the what we call, meron silang i-rate ka, rating sheets. nire-rate ka kung paano ka ka-efficient na police officer. What about the PNP appraisal system? Ito siya. The performance evaluation in the police service is the responsibility of the NAPOLCOM, which shall be issue the necessary rules and regulation for the orderly administration of the appraisal process, such as police efficiency and behavioral discipline. The rating system shall be based on the standard set by the NAPOLCOM, no? Meron yan, result of annual physical, psychological, and neuropsychiatric examinations. So, when it comes to the uses of a police appraisal are this. Eligibility to be hired, salary adjustment, siyempre nakitaan ka naman ng determining potential for promotion. So, nakitaan ka ng satisfactory or outstanding performance mo sa duty mo. Then you deserve this, no? They will determine your potential and then they will go for your promotion. Evaluation of probationary officers, identification of training needs. O yun, pagka medyo, bakit kaya bumaba to? Isang factor tayo na kulang. So we have to identify what training to be needed or to establish para sa kanya. Isolating supervisory weaknesses, validating selection technique, yan, reduction in ranks, demotion ang tawag, dismissal from service and disciplinary action. So ano ba kailangan? I-judge ka na nila that according to the evaluation, your performance is good for dismissal of service because of violation of a law. So, that is police appraisal. Next, the appraisal system. Yan yung sinasabi ko. Responsibility yan ni NAPOLCOM. Next is, of course, appraisal is different from promotion. Appraisal is simply means evaluating your performance. But promotion is after evaluating a performance and they evaluate you that you are satisfactory or outstanding, then you deserve the promotion. Because when we say promotion, it is a system of increasing the rank of a member of a police service, or you are going to a higher position, higher rank, one step or two step higher than your position. That is promotion.
Ma'am, po. Ma'am, hindi po gumagalaw yung niyo po.
Ay, hindi gumagalaw.
Yes po, ma'am. Page 87 pa rin po, ma'am.
Kanina pa yan, ma'am.
Kanina po po yan, ma'am.
Wait.
Yun po, ma'am, gumalaw na.
Okay.
Nawala po, ma'am.
Yan. Meron na ba? Meron na?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, galawin mo po.
Okay, okay na. So, dito na tayo sa police promotion.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry kung medyo tayo ha. Sabihan nyo lang ako, it's okay. Because ganito nga ang problema ng ating sinasabing new normal situation. Okay, we will go to police promotion. Don't you ever forget the difference of police appraisal to police promotion. Basta pag appraisal, you have to evaluate the performance of that person, and when we say to promotion, it is what we call, this is a system of increasing the rank of a police officer. Okay? So we have here, why do we need to promote? Of course, to invest a member of a police force with a degree of authority necessary for the effective execution of police duties. Yan. the promotion is a system of increasing the rank. So these are the following objective. Why do we need to promote them? Next is to place the police officer in a position of increased responsibility where he can make a full of his capabilities. Kasi nakita nga natin he's good, he's satisfactory, it's outstanding, then we although know that when we give them another responsibility, they can make it full use of their capabilities or their skill and knowledge. Kasi pag promote mo yan, sabi ko nga sa inyo, when someone is promoted, talagang ano mo yung malilift mo yung kanyang or mabuboost mo yung kanyang eagerness para maging mabuti na mag-perform sa kanyang duty. Next is to provide and promote incentive, thus motivating greater efforts of all members of the police force, which will gradually improve efficiency in police works. Wag lang, sinabi naman dito is, they can use this kind of incentives not to motivate them because of the incentives, but rather you motivate them to do greater efforts in performing the duty. And of course, there will always be the system for promotion because under the law, the NAPOLCOM shall establish a system of promotion for uniform and non-uniform members of the PNP, which shall be based on the following. Merit includes length of service in the present rank and qualification. No? Okay, consider naman natin na siya katagal, sa serbisyong meron siya ngayon na rank niya, and of course, the qualification. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, when you enter the PNP, you're not only entering the PNP. If you have time to study, then you have to study because in the system of promotion, they will have to carry, I considered, your educational qualification. Seniority and availability of vacant position. These are the reasons why why do they have this promotion. So, dapat meron din tayong sistema na sinusunod. The promotion shall be gender fair. Huwag natin kakalimutan yan. Which means, women in the PNP shall enjoy equal opportunity for promotion as that of men. Hindi porkit babae, wala nang karapatan, most especially dyan sa PNP organization. No, it should be a gender fair. There is what we call equality from female versus male. That even, for example, kasi minsan, pag nag-apply, babae at lalaki, ano lang lalaki kasi mas ma-perform niya ng maayos. No, because according to the law, it must be gender fair. What would be the preferences? Yun, halos parehas lang. Ang pagkakaiba kasi, when we say, okay, appropriate eligibility, it talk about whenever two or more person who are next in rank, preference shall be given the person who is most competent and qualified, who has the appropriate eligibility. It's like, for example, when you go for application, ikaw, bachelor degree kayong parehas, ikaw may eligibility, yung kalaban mo wala, so dapat, mas ikaw ang mas nakakarapat, nararapat na piliin. So, appropriate eligibility. Competency and vacancy. It only tells that when competency, otherwise qualification titignan, di ba? If the eligibility is equal. If there is also a vacancy, no, na pinos. Kahit qualified ka, kahit competent ka, kahit nasa iyo ang lahat ng eligibility, if there is no the posting of vacancy, then nothing. Then last is the seniority. When all the foregoing conditions have been taken into account and still members in the next rank have the same merit and qualification, okay, merit natin yung seniority officer. Paunahin naman natin sila. Kasi pagka, ang rule naman yan first in, parang, so first in, first out din. Kasi they are old enough, what mean is, mas matagal sila sa'yo, sa serbisyo, halos pares ang qualification, they have to consider the preference for promotion is in consider of seniority. Okay, what are the factors in selection for promotion? One is efficiency of performance. No? It is an aid for fair appraisal of the candidate's proficiency. The performance rating period shall be considered, provided that there is no instance shall the candidate, what we call, shall a candidate be considered for promotion unless he had obtained a rating at least satisfactory. Yan yung sinasabi ko. Now, when it comes to efficiency of performance, dapat ang lalabas doon sa appraisal or evaluation of your performance is at least satisfactory. Huwag naman very poor. At least you meet the satisfactory. No? Next, education and training. I told you it was very much important to education. Education background, which includes completion of in-service training, courses, academic studies, training grants, and even different kinds of trainings like, what I mean is kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, there is the required training for you to finish so that you should be promoted. Pagka ST offer ka, o ito dapat ang natapos mong training, and you have the education wise, then very good. Yan ang isang factor in selection for promotion. Next, experience in outstanding accomplishment. Ano na ba yung mga nagawa mo? Ano na ba naman yung contribute mo sa organisasyon ng PNP? Sa ka bang asset nila o hindi? So, one factor of selection is when we say experience, this includes occupational history, work experience, and other accomplishment worthy of commendation. It is just like here in our department, in the Department of Education, kailangan din ng ganyan na meron kang innovation, research, pero ngayon ina-adapt na yan ng ENP eh. They are now looking on the innovative contributions or what would be the contribution of a police officer in the organization. Kaya nga meron na silang mga different programs, di ba? Next, physical character and personality. Okay. The factor of physical fitness and capacity as well as...
Excuse me po, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes po.
Hindi po talaga lumilipat tong screen, ma'am. Kanina pa po sa police promotion.
Oh my God, what happened? Ano nangyari?
Ma'am, ayan po, nalipat na.
Nakikita nyo?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Nako. Efficiency. Yan. Yan na ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Meron na
Yes,
mga
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay, you have efficiency, performance, education, and training. Okay, dito tayo sa physical character and personality. Dito, it means that the candidate should have no derogatory records which might affect the integrity, morality, and conduct. Simple saying yan. Alam niyo na yan. No? Next is leadership potential. Oh, nakikita ko, ganito tong police officer. Oh, he is good on this portion. Yan. Making programs, kaya naman, parang ikaw talaga yung mag-lead sa kanila. You have that potential. The capacity and ability to perform the duties required in the new of higher position and good qualities for leadership. So those are the following factors in selection for promotion. Not only not only using the system, but of course other factors for selection of promotion. Kasi bakit kaya napakaraming ganyan na factors? Kasi marami rin ang nag-a-apply. So, titignan talaga nila who will be the most qualified for that promotion. Next, ano nga ba yung mga klase ng promotion? First is the regular promotion. Ibig sabihin, he passed, they are based on the following requirements. Una, she successfully passed the corresponding promotional examination given by the NAPOLCO. General rule yan. Pass the bar or corresponding board examination for technical services in other professions. So, that is under regular promotion. Excuse me. Next is there is a satisfactory completion of the appropriate accredited course by the PPSC or the Philippine Public Safety College or equivalent training institution. And next is, not palang last, pass the psychiatric and psychological and drug test. And last but not the least is cleared by the People Law Enforcement Board and Office of Ombudsman for any complaints against him or her. Nako, dapat no record at all, no violations of administrative cases, and no cases filed in the Office of the Ombudsman. So that is the regular promotion. Next, promotion by virtue of exhibited acts, or what you call the special promotion. Ano nga ba yun? Any uniform member of the PNP who has exhibited acts of conspicuous courage and gallantry at the risk of his or her life above and beyond the call of duty. Ito na yung sinasabi natin mga bayani natin. Nagpakabayani. Shall be promoted to the next higher rank, provided that such act shall be validated by the NAPOLCOM based on established criteria. Mga criteria naman yan. Just like what happened to my classmate. He was assigned in Mandela. Ma'am, hindi gumagalaw ang presentation. What happened? Ayan. Okay, can I stop sharing muna ako? Okay na?
Yes, ma'am. Okay naman.
Oh my God. So, naglolo ka na talaga. It is a kind of police promotion, no? Yung sinasabi natin special promotion. Kailangan siguro mag-rest. Kailangan ba talaga mag-rest? Tapusin ko lang saglit, then we have a break, I think. Ano oras ba dapat tayo matapos? 5?
4, ma'am.
4? Okay. So, okay. Sige, after nito, we will be having a 5 minutes break. So, that is a special promotion like what happened to my classmate. He was assigned in Mandela. And we all know that when Mandela Quirino is na ng NPA. Na-disgrasya sila, naputulan ng kamay, then because of his, what we call, gallantry, na naibigay na serbisyo sa PNP, that is what we call a special promotion, na-promote siya ng one higher rank. That is one kind of police promotion. Next is promotion by virtue of position. This were designated to any key position whose rank is lower than which is required for such position shall 6 months of occupying the same be entitled to a position. Di ba yan yung sinasabi natin na they are also required 2 years from the date of such promotion. Gusto magpa-assign ay magpa-promote ulit. Basta naka-establish siya, ay basta hindi siya nakaprocess ng establish minimum requirements ng 6 months niyang kapopromote, okay siya for virtue of position. Nasa Section 33 yan ng RA 8551 ng ano na to? Oo, tama. Nasa Section 34 siya ng RA 8551 with IIR, Implementing Rules and Regulation. So, nakikita nyo pa rin ba yung screen?
Yes, ma'am.
So, can I request 5 minutes break lang? Para huminga ng malalim. At saka ako itutuloy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Kindly, we can have our break for the meantime, ma'am.
Mag-break. Huwag na kayong mag-out para para hindi na tayo.
Wala ka naman, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, dito na tayo sa that from the Please, I will give you also I will also give you sample for of questionnaire para lang meron kayong maging idea o kaya ma-practice na kayo on how to give your best shots or best answer. No? And it can help you later on when you take the board exam. Of course, after identifying the appraisal system of the police, and of course, there are also the attachment of promotion, the police also have the right to give the best salary for them, their benefits and privileges. So we will be able to tackle about their salaries, the police salaries, benefits, and privileges. The salary, of course, is very much important, no, for all of us, lalong-lalo na kapag pamilyado ka na, and when you do work, and when you do your job naman, and you are already connected to an organization, you must be well compensated. Okay. When we are talking about the salary, the uniform members of the PNP are considered employees of the national government and draw their salaries therefrom. So they have the same salary grade that of a public school teacher. Dati kasi, mas mataas pa kaming mga public school teacher kaysa sa mga police. But because of that standardization na binigay naman ni increase na binigay naman ni President Duterte to our police officers, not only in the PNP but other fields of law enforcement, in the service rather, is well compensated naman na sila ngayon. But of course, they deserve it. We all deserve to be compensated. Then, the police officer assigned in Metropolitan Manila, chartered cities, and first-class municipalities may be paid with financial incentive by the local government unit concerned, subject for availability of funds. So, when it comes to the benefits and privileges, we have to consider there are what you call incentives and awards given to police officers. Not only on monetary, but also there is what we call acknowledgement, no, for them, because of their because of a job well done, not only by monetary or what we call incentive, but also an award. So the NAPOLCOM shall promulgate standards on incentives and award system in the PNP administered by the Board of Incentives and Awards. Awards may be a form of decorations, so that is the medals, or plaque, services medals, and citation badges, yun yung nakikita natin ibinibitin sa kanila, no? or in monetary considerations, not at all time monetary. The following are example of authorized decorations or medals or citation. Kaya sinabi na decorations, so nakikita natin the stars, yung mga yun, medals, yung binibitin, and the citation on the plaque or certificate, those are some examples. No. Here is in the Police Medal of Valor, Police Medal of Merit, Wounded Police Medal. Alam niyo naman yung pagkakaiba ng mga yan. Police Service Medal, and the Police Unit Citation Badge. And the most na pinakaayaw na award na nakukuha ng mga relative nila and mga asawa is the posthumous award. This is in a case of a police officer die. Aanhin niya pa yung award na yun, di ba? Literally, aanhin niya. But of course, in the eye of everybody, or because of his service, it was considered to be having this posthumous award. Pero kung ako man, kahit wala na sanang award na ganyan, basta mabuhay lahat ng pulis, no? Pero it is part of their job to protect us from any harm or when they encountered what we call different incident, because that is uncontrollable. Next is, we also have this health and welfare. Health and welfare because the NAPOLCOM also is mandated to provide assistance in developing the health and welfare programs for police personnel. All heads of the PNP, of course, in the respective level, from the local to national, they are responsible to initiate proper steps to create a good atmosphere to a superior subordinate relationship and improvement of personal moral through appropriate welfare programs. So, as you can see, ngayon, nagsusumba-zumba na sila, di ba? Because they have to maintain their kilos. Kasi pag dumating na naman ang inspection, ganyan, nako, patay na naman ang mga lumaking tiyan, bumigat. So, they are already have the programs or innovative ways for them to control to be from a big one. Hindi po lumilipat, ma'am. Stop sharing ko, ma'am. Naka-screen na lang. Ayan, nakikita na? When it comes to meron different programs. Next is ang and allowances.
Gone na.
Oo.
Ma'am, nag-e-echo po.
Bakit nag-echo?
Hindi na po, ma'am.
Hello, okay na?
Okay na po.
Okay. Kung dami natin problema. Okay. The next benefit is what we call the longevity pay and allowances. Ito ang napakarami, ha. Napakaswerte talaga, kaya ang sarap maging pulis sana, no? Kung kaya siguro nag-aaral kayo at nag-enroll kayo ng criminology course kasi you are aiming for this. Tama ba? Tama ba, mga bata? Sa mga anak? Siyempre naman. Kailangan.
Siyempre, ma'am.
Siyempre, literally, at impokrito ka pag sasabihin mong hindi, di ba? Because this is the only, what we call, this is one of the, one way para makatulong tayo sa mga parent natin at ma-provide natin yung pangangailangan ng pamilya natin. No? Kaya kailangan talaga mag-aral kayo mabuti. So, under this longevity pay and allowances, this is under the Public Act 6975 pa. No, PNP personnel are entitled to a longevity pay of 10% of their basic monthly salaries for every 5 years of the service. Oh my God, ang laki. No? Sa amin, kaya magkakaroon ka lang ng parang longevity pay after 10 years when you're a teacher. However, the totality of such longevity pay does not exceed 50% of the basic pay. So, 5 is 10%. So, hanggang 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years in the service ka makaka-receive lang ng 10% hanggang 50% lang kasi ang maximum niya. So, ano yung may enjoy nila? Subsistence allowance, quarter allowance, clothing allowance, cost of living allowance, hazard pay at marami pang iba. Incentive pa galing sa boss, yung others. So, ang dami, di ba? Kaya yung basic pay nila ngayon na 29, nagiging 30 plus because of those allowances given by the department or by the PNP. So, talagang kailangan, talagang gustuin, bakit napunta? Retirement benefit tayo. Okay, permanent physical disability pay muna. Oh. Sorry, wait lang. Okay. Next is the permanent disability pay. Oh, yes. Shall be entitled to a gratuity equivalent to 1 year's salary or to a lifetime pension equivalent to 80% of his last salary, in addition to other benefits as provided under the existing law. Yan palang binabayad sa mga nagkakaroon ng disability. Permanent ha, gaya nung kaklase ko. Parang nakakuha talaga siya nito. Early retirement benefit, o yan. Mag-early retirement tayo at the age of, I don't know. I'm sorry, kanina I said 56. Sa pan pala yun, sa teacher. Then, sa mga police, at least, meron pang 20 years in the service, then, that is what you call the early retirement. But the mandatory retirement is at the age of 60. Binababanan na ba nila ngayon? I think it's not pa. Okay, next. Next is, dito tayo. Okay, dito tayo muna sa inspection. Nahuli ko eh. Okay. Of course, no, meron din tayong sinasabing after having those appraisal, promotion, of course, when you are in the service, not only the appraisal program will be provided, not only the promotion will be given, but instead, not only but also not only your salaries, benefits, but of course, there will always be what we call stage of in that organization na ma-inspect ka or mag-conduct sila ng inspection. When we say police inspection, no, the purpose of police inspection really is to ascertain the standard policies and procedure, review and analyze the performance and activities in facilities affecting operations, and to look into the moral, needs, and general efficiency of police organization in maintaining law and order. So why do we need to conduct this inspection? It is what we call they conduct a real check if that organization or within their organization they are performing according to the norms, no, of the organization, according to the set of rules provided by the organization of the PNP. Siyempre, kailangan nilang i-check if they are really following those procedures, those standard policies given from the top management. There are two types of police inspection. The first one is the authoritative inspection. It is conducted by the head subordinate units in the regular basis, based on your authority given to you as the boss. And the staff inspection is those conducted by the staff for in behalf of the Chief PNP or Superior Officer in Command various units of departments. So as you can see, when the authoritative inspection, it is based on the head or head of every unit. But in the staff is in behalf of the Chief PNP of the different division. What would be the nature of police inspection? So, meron tayong dalawa. May internal at saka external. Pag sinabing internal affairs, inspection on internal affairs embraces administration, training, operation, intelligence, investigation, moral discipline, as well as financial condition of the police organization. Internal, nasa loob mismo ng organisasyon kung kailangan daw i-inspect kung ang pamamalakad within the PNP is the same with us with the provision provided or with the rules and regulation provided by the PNP. Kailangan nilang i-check if the training given to them is really connected on their job or in their positions. No? If their operation is pagdating ng operations nila is tama ba yung pag-conduct ng kanilang operation, ng kanilang budgeted for intelligence division, kailangan din nilang alamin, no? Given the financial condition of the police organization. Baka naman kumakalat na ang corruption doon inside or kumakalat ang bribery inside the administration. Basta ang usapan, ang internal sa loob lang din ng organisasyon. The external, ibig sabihin sa labas. So, external embraces the community relation of the organization, the crime and vice situation of the locality, and the prevailing public opinion concerning the integrity and reputation of the personnel. It was very much important, no, na kailangan din i-inspect nila the relationship of that police officer or that organization to the community, because take note of this class that it is very much important nowadays to have a good relationship in the community, because that kind of organization, the police organization, really needs the backup from the community. No, they can easily ask what we call, mapapadali nila na magkaroon ng peaceful na lugar when they have a good communication. Aalamin yan ng external affairs. Baka naman lalabas na mga PNP pag nagjo-duty, natutulog, they are not really performing their duties, na kapag may nag-complain, sasabihin na walang investigador na available, ganyan. Inaalam po nila yan sa external affairs. Sino nga ba ang mga authority to inspect? Who among those people who have the authority to conduct the inspection? Hindi naman pwede na porket lower mo siya, na pag-tripan mo, i-inspect mo. Ganon. You don't have the right because they are the authority or the personnel na mag-conduct ng inspection. So they are the following: NAPOLCOM or any representative from the office, from the PNP chief or his designated representative, PNP director for personnel or his representative, PNP regional director or his representative, or the assigned COP of every city or municipality, and the internal affairs services that is under the rule of 8551. So the inspecting officer shall examine. They will have to audit. Meron bang, kasi may mga kaperahan din dyan. They have to inspect the police agencies that is in accordance with the existing standard, no, within the municipality or within the province. No? And of course, following the different objective. Ano bang kailangan nilang gawin? Kailangan nilang gawin, they take note or discover defects and irregularities. Yan ang function o yan ang magiging gawain na ni inspector. Ano pa? To effect correction on minor defects being discovered. Meron at meron silang makikita, then they will be the one to correct it. They will be the one to give solution and what we call options on what will they do if they will discover something that is not good within the organization of the PNP. Next is they have to bring the attention of to bring the attention of and recommend to the concerned officer for appropriate actions on defects noted. So, aalamin yan, bibigyan yan ng, i-address yan, dahil mas maganda at kaya nga nagkakandak ng inspect is to avoid major problems. Then, where the irregularity noted during inspection is serious as to warrant administrative charges against a police officer, then the inspecting officer shall immediately file the necessary charges before an appropriate disciplinary action offices. Kaya meron tayo nung sinasabi nilang pleb. Yan. Yan tayo sa police disciplinary mechanism. So, of course, aside from higher police management level that can impose disciplinary action against subordinates, aside from it, there will always be the following disciplinary mechanism in the police service. First is administrative disciplinary powers of the local chief executive. The city and municipal mayor shall have the power to impose, take note, power to impose, after due notice and summary hearings, disciplinary penalties for minor offenses committed by members of the PNP, aside to the respected jurisdiction as provided in Section 41 of the Republic Act number 6975 as amended by Section 52 of RA 8551. Kaya minsan, di ba naririnig nyo, ganito pinatawag ni Mayor. Kasi meron there is what we call disciplinary action to be made by the local government, local chief executive pala. So, lagi niyong tatandaan, mapapansin ninyo na in every rule, ay dapat kailangan may naka-activate na rule, no? That is kailangan na meron tayong legal consider natin yung legal aspect. Next is flip. Ito yung sumbungan ng bayan ng mga nakakumit ng yung mga ang involved ay mga police officer. It is the central receiving entity for any citizen's complaint against PNP member. As such, every citizen's complaint, regardless of the imposable penalty for the offense alleged, shall be filed with the pleb of the city or municipality where the offense was allegedly committed. So, yan yung parang sumbungan naman natin mga ordinary citizen. Kung tayo ay nabastos, nagawan ng kasalanan ng mga police officers regarding on their function as a police officer, should the pleb find the offenses alleged is grave or less grave, the board shall assume jurisdiction to hear and decide the complaint by serving summons upon the respondent within 3 days from the receipt of the complaint. If the pleb finds that the offense alleged is minor, it shall refer the complaint to the mayor or chief of police as the case may be of the city municipality where the PNP member is assigned within 3 days upon the filing thereof. Kaya nga, sabi ko sa inyo, meron yan administrative disciplinary powers si mayor para sa mga what we call not too harsh cases committed by the PNP. Or pwede naman, kausapin na lang siya ni COP, kumare, like what happened. Kasi may mga ganyan tao, nag-complain sa'yo ang isang babae. Dahil ayaw na ng kaso-kaso, hindi siya in-entertain. Dahil daw ang kaso na yun, ikot po ang barangay lang. Ang importante doon, lumapit sa'yo. So, i-blatter mo. Kung gusto niya mag-blatter, ba't sabihin mong susundin natin yung procedure? Eh di, you have to entertain it din, di ba? So that is mostly minor cases na naipafile sa pleb. Pero, pinag-uusapan na lang yan. Pero, sabihin ko yung totoo sa inyo ako, mayroon kaming kasama dati na binugbog ng bayaw niya. Babae, binugbog siya ng bayaw niya. Tumakbo sa police station. Hindi siya tinulungan nung nasa police station. Natulog siya dun sa labas. Actually, hindi siya nakatulog kasi nasa labas for almost buong magdamag. Then, kinaumagahan, nagreklamo ulit, magpakalsana ng plato. Hindi na naman siya in-entertain, the same person. So, ako naman, naawa dahil kasamahan ng aking hitag. Alam niyo, ang ginawa ko, ako hindi ako pumunta ng People's Enforcement Board. I rather call the 888, sumbungan kay Elizal. Ay, andun yung estudyante kung nasa karami. So, sinabi namin na ganito yung nangyari. So, alam niyo, initially, I am saying na marami nga ang nakafile ng mga kaso. Dahil sa karami ng mga maling gawain ng mga polis is from Isabela and Cagayan. So, as we can see, no, so, at salamat tayo, meron itong pleb that can help the ordinary citizen to complain about the wrongdoings of the police officers. So, after filing, no, if the city and municipality where the offense was committed has no pleb, no, the citizen's complaint shall be filed with the regional provincial office of the commission or in the NAPOLCOM and nearest residence of complaint yan. So, ano ba yung mga administrative offenses na mostly may impose against sa PNP member? So, ito yan. They will be charged administratively yan ha. They are considered administrative offenses. So, automatically charged administratively yan. First, is yung sinasabi natin neglect of duty or non-feasance. It is the omission or refusal, gaya ng example ko sa inyo, without sufficient excuse to perform an act or duty which it was a peace officer's legal obligations to perform. It implies a duty as well as it which and the past can never be found in the absence of a duty. Yan. Kaya ng example ko sa inyo, perform niya naman yung duty niya. Yun naman ang legal obligation niya to perform. Pero nag-refuse siya. So, ibig sabihin, nagkaroon ng pagkukulang sa pag-perform ng kanyang duty. Next is misfeasance. Yung mga iba nagkakalabuan ang definition niya sa board exam. Pero, tingnan niyo na lang. Basta pag neglect, non-feasance, nagkulang. Irregularities, may pagkakamali. Ayan ang misfeasance. Misfeasance. Ibig sabihin, there is irregularities in the performance of duty. It is important, it is the improper performance of some act which might lawfully be done. Mostly, nagkakaroon ng ganitong kaso ang mga PNP members when they arrest a person. Most of them. Nagkakaroon ng irregularities also in filing of cases. Nangyayari yan. Kasi yung mga ibang polis talaga, gusto lang magkaroon ng accomplishment. Sometimes, there are some irregularities na ginagawa talaga nila. So, pag may taong nag-violate at kaya talaga siyang ireklamo, yan ang pwedeng kaso sa kanila. Irregularities in the performance of duty. Hindi yan nawawala. Sorry to say, pero mostly yung mga yan, yung mga hindi na criminology graduate. Kasi sa atin naman, when we are in the field of criminology, talaga namang well known naman tayo in the proceedings and rules, di ba? We are fine with rules eh. We are fine with laws. Kaya, I think, it may be that would be committed offenses by not a graduate of a criminology and a licensed criminology. Not a licensed criminology, sorry to say. Next is misconduct or malfeasance. Pag sinabi natin malfeasance, it is the doing, either through ignorance or inattention or malice, wala sa kanyang intention, of which the officer had no legal right to do at all, as where he acts without any authority whatsoever or exceed, ignores or abuses power. And sa misconduct naman, Yan yung sinasabi natin, nagkakaroon sila ng misconceptions on their powers bilang isang police officer. No? Yung iba, nasusobrahan. Yung iba, porkit police na yan, alam niyo na, yung hindi naman ina-abuse nila yung kanilang power bilang isang police. Na parang, yung, kung dahil police ka, mananapak ka na lang ng bigla. Pag may nag-away, mananapak ka pag dahil police ka. So, there are some irregular, some abuses because of the power given to them. Next is incompetency. Incompetency from the word itself, confident. You are not really competent to do your job. It is what we call the manifest of lack of adequate ability and fitness for the satisfactory performance of police duty. This has reference to any physical, moral, intellectual, and intellectual quality, the lack of which substantially incapacitates one to perform the duties of a police officer. Kung duty ka na lang ng duty, or what you call you are not really competent, there is lack of adequate ability to do your job, you are not really fitness, you're always drunk, lagi kang dali, that you are always tipsy, ganyan. Nako, you are very incompetent sa bagay na ay sa iyong posisyon. Pag hindi mo na magagawa yung performance mo sa police officer. Next is oppression. Oppression is, it imports the act of cruelty, severity, and unlawful exaction or domination and excessive use of authority. Ito naman sobra, cruel. Cruel siya talaga. Not only you abuse, but there is a cruelty. Excuse me. The exercise of the unlawful power or other means in depriving an individual of his liberty and property against his will and generally an act of oppression. Example, sometimes kasi pagka kunwari may pinatawag ka ng pulis o ganito, mami ka, ganyan. But there is cruelty. Because when you are in the police office, dapat pag pinatawag ka, you have the right to remain silent. No? You have to invoke your rights. Na saka ka lang magsasalita kapag andyan na yung lawyer mo. Kasi everything you say, kung wala ang lawyer mo, that is not, they will not use it against you, diba? So, next is dishonesty. It is the concealment or distortion of truth in a matter of fact relevant to one's office or connected with the performance of his duties. Kadalasan nito, ginagawa ng mga, kung may kamag-anak silang nagawan ng krimen. Kaya, minsan, hindi na dishonesty, hindi na lang kinafile yung kaso, kaya pinapagalan ng pag-file ng complaint sa kaso kasi kamag-anak. Yan naman lumalabas sa mga ugali ng mga nandyan sa atin, mga pulis na yan. Disloyalty to the government. It consists of abandonment or denunciation of one's loyalty to the government of the Philippines and advocating to overthrow the government. Bawal yan. The next is the violation of law. This presupposes the conviction in the court of any crime or offense penalized under the revised penal code or any special law or ordinance. So, as you can see, naman talaga namang marami sa kanila. Like what happened yung bumarel, yung bumembang kay Nanay Sonia. Sonia ba't pangalan yun? Sonia ba yan? Taga Pampanga. So there is a violation of law. Yung bumaril ulit sa nanay na lasing yung police, violation of law. And even ordinances or special law, gambling, yan, mga police na nagsusugal. So those are the administrative offenses that may be imposed against the PNP member and filed against them. Okay? We have here the organizational setup, no? Punta naman tayo sa setup ng police within the organization. So we have here the PNP staff and support units. The Chief of the Philippine National Police, sila po yan staff, ang kinoconsider na staff and support units. No? Chief of Directoral Staff. Next is, yan po, ano naman ang under sa Directoral Staff? Yan. Ano po yung different divisions under the Directoral Staff. Functional staff ang tawag sa kanila because yan po nakikita ninyo, they have the different function according to their what we call directorial staff. Okay. Sinabi namang administrative, yan. Bakit? Logistic kasi is within the administration. Ang mga legal services, kung ano yung mga kailangan ng mga supplies, yan, medical and dental services, admin support units yung mga yan. No? Kasi they are more on what we call the function. Parang ang labas kasi ng administrative support is within the administration itself. Yung kung paano kumalaw, kumapagalaw, yung mga functional staff natin. Operational, yan naman. Specialized yung mga yan, operational support unit. Sa narcotics, no, absorb na to ng PDEA. Wala nang narcotics command division ang PNP. But there is a group, no, traffic management, intel, security, civil security force, maritime, police community relation, and aviation security. So those are the operational support units. How about the ranking system? Alam niyo naman na ang mga commission officer, di ba, nasa when we are referring to commission officer, it start to inspector up to the director general. Pero ngayon, hindi na yan ang position na tawag sa kanila eh. Cadets of the Philippine National Police are classified above the senior police officer and below inspector rank in the PNP. O, sila naman, kapag ka naman na police officer 1 to senior police officer 4, then that is the non-commissioned officer. Yung bandang kanan, those are the views of the rank of the army. Corporal, private first class, ganyan. The old and the new policing system that we have. Okay. In the traditional policing, the old system or concept of policing whereby the policemen are looked upon as an authority representing the government. Oh, so it served rather than as a servant of the community. So the police organization is used as protector of you instead of many. The yardstick of police efficiency and effectiveness. Okay, the main traditional purpose of the police is to protect the authority or the government. Hence, the yardstick of measuring police efficiency is under this kind of policing. It is the number of people. The more people arrested and thrown to jail is the more the police organization is effective and efficient. Do you believe on that? Mas effective daw to police officer kung mas marami siyang naipapasok sa loob ng kulungan. Do you believe on that? My dear students, do you believe on that? Kasi ako, parang we are now aiming for quantity yung bilang na lang, not the quality ng mga pinapasok mo sa kulungan. If they really qualified to enter the jail or not, diba? So, who are the police? O, ayan, makikita ninyo. Picture itself. Oh. Diba? I told you, it is what we call, you are looking for the quantity kung ilan na naipasok mo. Kasi ang traditional policing, it is best known model of policing daw when it comes to the style is reactive style of policing where the police officer react to service call and crime when they are on patrol. Pero kapag daw community policing, it promotes organizational strategies. for that there is a systematic use of partnership and problem-solving technique. Kaya nga, community-oriented ka. Parang immediate conditions to give rise to public safety issues such as crime, social disorder, and fear of crime. So, saan ba kayo later on pag ganyan? Babalik ako sa slide number 51. Hey, Donald, are you there? Ang oras kayo natatapos. So, eto naman, these are the terms to that you encountered later on, no? These are the okay. Diba I already identified the staff in the PNP organization. Now is the terminologies in the functional unit. So, when we say bureau, it is the largest organic functional unit within a large department. It comprises number of division. No? Kaya parang the Philippine National Police, that is a bureau. No? It is a large department of police. Division, it is a primary subdivision of the bureau. So, makikita nyo doon, may mga directorial staff, ganyan. Personnel, then it's the division. Section is the functional unit within a division that is necessary for specialization. Yun na yung for the traffic, investigation, narcotics, ganyan. That is referring to section. The last is unit. This is the functional group within a section or the smallest one. Within that section, unit na ang tawag. Next, when it comes to territorial, no, when we say post, this is the fixed point or location to which an officer is assigned for duty. Fixed point yan such as designated desk, or woman desk, or investigation desk, or assigning patrol in intersection or crosswalk, for from traffic duty, or it is a spot location for general guard duty. How about the route? The length of street designation for patrol purposes, and it is called a line width. Ruta mo. Kung ang ruta ng patrol ninyo is from Purok 1 to Purok 2, then that is your line width. Width, an area assigned for patrol purposes, whether foot or motorized. Assigned patrol purposes. Yan. Sector, an area containing 2 or more beats, roads, and posts. Pag sinabi na kasing sector, from one containing 2 or more beats or roads or posts, to are not only assigned to Purok 1, but also to Purok 2, to Purok 3, or for example, ngayon, nakikita nyo naman may mga different sector and different posts na ang mga PNP natin, especially outside, no? Dun sa market, meron na tayong nakikita ng mga fixed posts nila. District, a geographical subdivision of a city or for patrol purposes, usually with its own station. Ayan. And may nakikita nyo naglilibot within your barangay or within your municipality. Area, a section or territorial division of a large city which comprise designated district. Other terminologies, ito naman tayo. So, sworn officers are all personnel of the police department who have ought and who possesses the power to arrest. Sworn, ibig sabihin, they have the power to arrest. They have done ought, nanumpa. Ganyan. Superior officer, the one having supervisory responsibilities, either temporary or permanently, over officers of the lower rank. Superior, higher position, your boss. Commanding officer is not necessary, not all is boss. Some of them is the representative designated by the boss or superior. An officer who is in command of the department, bureau, division, area, or district. The assigned officer is the commanding officer. Ranking officer is who has the more senior rank, ranking sa taas. Pinakamataas sa grupo. Not only superior officer. No. Length of service is referring to the period of time that has elapsed since the oath of office was administered. O, your length of service. Kailan ka nag-oath, kailan ka nag-retire. Next is on duty. Pag sinabing on duty, you are in the period of your official performance of duty, or what we call the officer is actively engaged in performing his duty. Next, leave of absence, period which an officer is excused from active duty by any valid acceptable reason approved by the higher authority. O kunwari, nag-paternity leave si sir dahil nanganak ang kanyang original na misis. Ayan. So, pwede siyang mag-apply for leave of absence. So, kaya naman he was hospitalized. There is what you call valid or acceptable reason. But of course, it must be approved by the higher authority. Sick leave. The officer is excused from active duty by reason of illnesses or injury. Suspension. When there is suspension, when there is a consequence of an act which temporarily deprives an officer from the privilege of performing his duties as a result of violating directives or other department regulations. Na totally out na siya sa organization, ha. Pag sinabing suspension, there is what we call specified dates or months na masususpindi siya. But of course, there will always be what we call based on the rules given by the organization. Department rules, yan po yung mga na-establish by the department directors, supervisor, to control the conduct of the members of the police force. Duty manual. It only defines the duties of officer assigned to specified post or position. Depende na po yan kung your duty manual will be you're an investigator, so you have the duty as an investigator. Order, an instruction given by the ranking officer to subordinate either a general order or special order or a personal order. Report, usually a written communication unless otherwise specified to be verbal reports. Verbal report should be confirmed by written communication. So, para maging formality, you have to follow yung mga reports na yan. It should be confirmed by a written communication. So, I think that's all. And before I end, I will just as you can see dito sa may ARA 8551 natin, the flow of personal career, the recruitment process, reach the qualification, take the procedures and different tests. Then, there is an appointment if it is permanent, temporary, yan. Then the training for standard, there is the standard training, the basic recruit training up to the last training required by the different positions, and appraisal for the purpose of standard of evaluation. Then promotion, there is a system of promotion. Karoon tayo ng what consideration of promotion. Then, the incentive, the assignment is kung saan lang naman sila ma-assign and consideration of assignments given by the higher authorities. Then inspection conducted. After inspection, if they find out that there is irregularities and problem encountered, there is a disciplinary mechanism. And after that, the retirement of a police officer. So, without much ado, that's all, I think.